What up, YouTube? It's your boy Vince Rashad coming with my second video for the day, and I'm gonna talk about the issue of street harassment. I've been wanting to hit on this issue for quite a while, but go ahead and talk about it today. I'm gonna say this off Jump Street. I cover issues in a very frank, honest, and direct way. My opinions are more than likely not gonna be liked by most people. With that said, street harassment as it's being framed by the media and a certain percentage of African American women, it's really no more than prison industrial complex propaganda. The entire notion of street harassment is totally and beyond absurd. I mean, I've heard women describe some extreme cases of walking down the street or whatever. It might be at night or in day, or it might be at the mall, and you get a group of guys gathering up, and some guy try to talk to her, and then he starts following her. If that's the case, that is the crime of stalking. You simply call the police, or you get next to somebody with a phone and tell them to call the police for you. But most people have a phone on them nowadays. There don't need to be. And one thing about laws and stuff like that is that, well, issues, political issues in American society, whenever you hear somebody attempting to further demonize something that's already illegal, like rape, why does rape have to even be a topic? It's illegal. If you're raped, report it. It may be very uncomfortable, but don't take a bath. Go to the police department. They're going to take you to the hospital, and you're going to get I think it's called a rape kit. They probably going to have to take like little specimens and stuff like that. But if you can, try not to wash yourself until after you come from the hospital. Once they get that person's DNA, with this DNA database they have nowadays, it's a wrap. It's illegal. He's going to jail. End of story. There are bigger issues and bigger political arrangements that happen whenever people talk about things that are already illegal, but yet they want to, keep talking about it. Now, from a black man's perspective, or from the perspective coming from, just a black American's perspective, period, the entire notion of any black woman cooperating with the justice system to get some type of street harassment laws and these street harassment apps that I'm hearing about legalized is absurd. Here's why. 72% of black children are born out of wedlock. So what? 70% of our population is single. How else is a man going, 72% of children of black men are denied fatherhood quite often, in more cases than not. The vast majority of these women just have the baby with no marriage and not really caring if the man is with her or not. So almost 75% of our population is single. How else is a man going to get a woman? And then with that large of a percentage of the population being single, that means that you simply have excess men in the street. Combine almost 75% of your population being single to damn 30% unemployment, you got a bunch of men in the street with nothing to do. And see, it's crazy to me at how we constantly talk about symptoms, but we never talk about, the source of the problem or the source of an issue. But with almost 75% of men being single, there are just going to be excess men who are going to holler at you. I see very good-looking Latino women. I see very good-looking white women a lot of the times. A lot of the times, I want to holler at her. But when it comes to a Louisiana white woman, there's one thing you can guarantee. She might be by herself, but that just means that her husband is just not close around anywhere. He's roaming, he's just not immediately there. 2/3 to 80% of Mexican and Latin women that you see in this country, they got their husbands right there. They married at about a rate of 75%, 70, 75%, just the opposite of the black community. So Latina ain't got to worry about being harassed because her husband is right there. But you can't have it both ways. You can't be happy Father's Day mom, happy to be single and by yourself, and then wonder why there's so many single men in the street who are trying to talk to you. It's a formula for disaster. And the reality is that, the prison industrial complex is desperate for more people. And despite what you hear in the media and on the news, black crime is down. It has a lot to do with the internet. A lot of the street goonery and thugism is happening online. Now, it does turn the black internet into a damn ghetto because 75% of people on Twitter, 2/3 to 70 some percent of people on Twitter after 10 or 11 p.m. are black folks, So a lot of this goonism is going on online and not in the streets. This is part of the reason why they are making this extra huge focus on Chicago, because that's, even though the fact that crime and murder in Chicago is down, it's still one of the cities that's maintaining, a very visual criminal element that is very visual and is broadcasted on nationwide media whenever 50 people get shot in a day or over a weekend. You got these drug dealers, these gang shootouts. But, why don't you always hear about Houston? Why don't you always hear about crime in Charlotte or Portland or Seattle? Because it's down. And in some areas, it's down by over 90%. I mean, the criminal element has gone completely inside. And this is not good for prison industrial complex. It's not good. So they're scrambling now to make up laws. And, this street harassment, along with the street harassment application that can be downloaded into your phone, is basically just something to get more brothers locked up. Because I'm not really worried about that many black women actually calling the police saying that some guy is harassing her. Quite often when I hear women discuss the topic of street harassment, it's often a very bunch of, bougie girls who really are just boasting and bragging among one another about all the different men that tried to get with them today. The only women that are really going to be calling the cops are women who, it's probably so abnormal for men to talk to her, she feels harassed just by being approached by a man, Basically square-ass females and just the ultra bougie type. But the thing that's going to happen, if they pass laws on street harassment, because you see, with black women, they got education, they got homes and stuff, but they really don't have any type of solid industrial, corporate, or institutional power to go along with all this education and this little money that they done found. So white supremacy has to do something to put a period at the end of her master's degrees and PhD degree sentence. And they're not, as you see in the case of the University of Arizona professor, they're not going to do it on the backs of white men. You ain't got no power over white men. So they'll give her a little bit of power over a black man. The power to have him whisked away by the SWAT team, by the street harassment SWAT team. And see, the biggest thing, just look at the fact that you have YouTubers who, like Tommy Sotomayor, who speaks genocidal propaganda against black women, black people. Look at how they've tried for years to have him removed, and yet he can't be removed from YouTube. But yet you get one Stephen A. Smith who pisses off a white feminist, and he loses his job. He gets suspended for a week. He didn't lose his job, but he got suspended for a week. by offending a single nobody feminist. But what's going to happen with this street harassment stuff is that it'll be way too easy to find some big booty, tall, stallion Amazon type and put her in a dress with no panties on and take her into the deepest part of the black community, in areas where there's high unemployment, and basically just get her to walk up and down the street with a hidden camera and record everybody that tries to talk to her. And see, they're passing laws to where they can arrest not just individuals, but people in mass. And when this undercover police with a big butt, big stallion butt and legs is walking down the street recording people, she's keeping a visual of everybody. She heads off to some little area. She calls up her police buddies, and they come and perform sweeps and replace those numbers that the prison industrial complex is missing. Because, black people got to get out of the frame of mind of thinking that white folk care about you. These white folk don't care nothing about no black woman. And they've shown that just over the last 2 weeks. I mean, you had a pregnant female in New York City slammed to the ground on her pregnant belly, 7 months pregnant, because she was barbecuing. There's been nothing done about the girls in Nigeria, virtually nothing. There's a woman who had the living crap beat out of her on the California freeway. You had the Arizona professor. We all know about that. No need to get into that again. And you still, I still just think about that situation in Rochester, New York last year, where you had a 16-year-old pregnant girl who was slammed up against the wall, and the police took his fist and bashed her head up against bashed her head, punched her like a damn man. So they've shown black women that, you're not going to get any power and privilege in white America over white people. The only, if you're feeling powerless, on top of having all them degrees, we will enable you to lock up and give you the power to fuck up your own race. But, you're not going to be fucking up white folk. But this anti-street harassment thing, this prison industrial complex, black genocide propaganda, there's no situation that a woman faces out there where if she's getting harassed by some thirsty-ass dude, she can easily call the cops or, put herself behind a group of, the protector male type, can easily call the cops and get that dude arrested, plain and simple. There are no laws that need to be passed on street harassment. It's prison industrial complex, genocide propaganda, and in a community where 75% of us are single, please explain to me, how do you think any man is ever going to meet a woman? It's not going to happen online. Websites, I did a video over a year ago. Dating websites are bullshit. They are total and complete bullshit. I wouldn't waste my time on a single one of them. All women I talk to, Hispanic, black, white, whatever, I meet them in bars. Or either I occasionally meet a woman, say at the mall or somewhere. I don't deal with dating sites at all, period. But anyway, it's your boy Vince Rashad, updating you and informing you on the prison industrial complex propaganda that is street harassment. Holla.